Hey, look at that. There's a kitty cat there.
What you doing over here, kitty cat? What you doing over here, kitty? What you doing up here? Meow.
She's hiding.
You're hiding. Looking outside. Bright light.
Hanging out with us.
Spreading cat fur all over the bed.
Yeah, you're the one spreading cat fur all over the bed and petting her and having it fly everywhere. Alright, let's get a picture of the hair the way it is. Turn this way.
Alright, so on to ship space types, right?
Ship space types.
Ship, starship types, right?
Right.
You either have Star Destroyer,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically Delta. It's basically just another Delta version. Most common cruisers. So the actually for commonality first, right? Commonality for what was most common. Starship types. You have a boat in space, i.e., you have a long cylinder-like object with kind of a chopped-off keel in the front, a whole bunch of engines in the back, and a bridge on top. Because people still think in 21st century terms in the 23rd century. I have no idea. Whatever. Anyways, technically a realistic spaceship would have its decks leveled not like this, but like this. If this is the back and this is the front, it wouldn't be leveled like this, right? It'd be leveled like this.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when the ship accelerates, especially until warp drives are invented, the way artificial gravity would work is the ship would literally accelerate at 1g. It would be constantly accelerating at 1g. And eventually, halfway through the journey, you turn the ship around and accelerate the other way at 1g.
Mm.
In other words, you have a small, maybe week period of non-accelerating, right? Non-accelerating. And then all of a sudden, you start decelerating. A week of 0g, or a few days of 0g, and then the ship turns around in a few days, and starts decelerating, recelerating the other way. And now you get exactly 1g. So for the 99% of the journey, you have 1g. Pretty clever, right? It also means you have to have a shit ton of rocket fuel because you're constantly accelerating and constantly decelerating. So eventually the cylinder with engines in the back and a curve in the front like a keel on a regular ship, right? Water ship. And the bridge on top turned into bridge goes back, keel stays the same, front gets smaller and big back and gets a giant bulge for more engines, i.e. Star Destroyer. Though less extreme, more similar to, and the Star Destroyer is kind of an extreme case, the Raider class or whatever the Corvette, right? The Corvette from Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game. That the Corvette they have that the what's the blank word? The A-team. The Igniter team, Flame team. Something over there. What are you gonna do to Flyer? I think. Ember Squad? No. But anyways, they have a very typical, they're the typical Star Destroyer. When I say Star Destroyers, it's because the Star Destroyer is the most, extreme version of what I'm saying. But basically, small in the front, big in the back, i.e. it's a Delta. Starfighters have turned up into Starship. The reason for big in the back would make sense, right? More engines. Works really well until you figure out that, we have to decelerate. Which is only really doable if either 1, you have thrust-effecting engines, 2, you can turn your ship around, or 3, you have engines in front. Generally, option 1 of thrust vectoring engines is generally better. You have to turn your ship around, and you can also not have engines in front. Generally good, right? I don't know if ships have thrust vectoring. Oh wait, new ships do. So, good ships have thrust vectoring because it allows, or at least some thrust vectoring engines, not all engines have thrust vectoring, but my Resilient class Corvette, it has a main engine at the back with no thrust vector to fix. But the front engines do thrust vector, and they can slow your ship down and also kind of turn your ship around. The thrust vector also helps with maneuverability, because by thrust vectoring, like in the airplane, right, you can divert thrust, and so it's basically the space version of the elevators and ailerons. And it works extremely well, because actually modern aircraft do employ thrust vectoring techniques to prevent as post-stall maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
So to prevent loss of control of the aircraft. So normally in a stall you would have loss of control of the aircraft. With thrust vectoring, you can literally roll stalling with your aircraft, and just go crazy with your aircraft because it's thrust vectoring. So thrust vectoring is cool. So yeah, so real ships would actually use thrust vectoring, even if they had, artificial gravity and stuff. But so, because we have the Delta ships, we have well, I'm just gonna call it the steampunk. No, it should actually not call it steampunk. It's not steampunk. It had some idea, right? So it looks like a real ship, except in space. The space application of a real water ship. So we'll have the cylinder type, right? The cylinder class, and then we have the Star Destroyer class, which basically folds in the back. Then we have the Tantaliev class, right? Remember the Tantaliev 5, the princess's ship from Star Wars New Hope? Yeah, so that ship. That ship's design, big engines to the back, but still no delta shape. Just big engine bulge in the back, then rod that goes up to a new thing in front, right? Which evolves into, instead of having the middle thing, it turns into having the big rod and it goes in front. So Tantaliev type, right? Tantaliev class. So that ship, it evolves a lot into many popular kind of sci-fi cool-looking cruisers that we have today. For example, my Katana class. My Katana class Dreadnought, which is based off of a ship I saw for some game called Ashford Empires. And so I took the ship design they had and chopped off the front of it, and now I basically have a Tantaliev class ship. So my Katana class is a Tantaliev type ship. Right, so we have, but Star Wars really did have the basically breakthrough into the new era ships, especially big ships. So we have Cylinder, Star Destroyer, Tantaliev. Let's see. Now we have basically my Neptune class cruiser, which is weird cargo thing. So we now have, and I'll look at the Eve ships later on. Technically, the Primus from Eve, it's Tantaliev. For practical purposes, it's a very weird Tantaliev. But so now we have the Y ships. I call them Y ships because basically there's the main body and then there's two things sticking off the side of it. Basically, my Neptune class is basically what a Y ship would technically look like. They're not actually very common, I don't think. I've only seen like 1 or 2 pictures of Y style ships. But there are a lot of ships that are cylinder ships that have a shaft in the front. And that would technically count as Y ship. Except then it's more just of a shaft starfighter, except the size of a ship. But whatever. There are a ridiculous number of ships that do that, right? So there's cylinder / old style ships, Star Destroyer ships, Tantaliev class, or Tantaliev type ships, and then there is the Y ships. Okay, Y's what? Yeah. I'm sure there's a few other types of ships that I'm... Oh, Raza. There's Raza ships, right, from Dark Matter. Which are basically they're the big front back engine ships. And that's really good because it allows you thrust vector, At least the front engines anyways. The back engines still can't thrust vector. But that's okay. You don't need to have your back engines go full reverse. You only need your front engines, I guess. Yeah, it has its own problems, but still. Generally, you're going to be accelerating forwards, and if you really need to decelerate extremely fast, and you can turn your ship around relatively easily. That would do this also launch thruster fuel, right? Like you would in a regular ship. So big front, small back is the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have cylinder / old style Death Star, or not Death Star. Star Destroyer, Pantalev. Was a Y ship, and then big front, small back. 5, right? And then we have the Eve ships, which don't follow any rules at all. I mean, they try to, kind of, but no. So, like, the Oracle ship, it's a weird ship, because it's doesn't make any sense. It's a giant, weird crescent sail ship, like, thing. But then just back. So yeah, I'm just like, the creators of the Eve ships were extremely creative most of their ships. Except for the Ragnarok ship, and actually any of the ships of that faction. Right, that's their mega warship type. It's called the Ragnarok. But any ships of that faction, this looks like a total mess. At least the bigger ones, in my opinion. I mean, it literally is like worse than Star Destroyers plus, or not Star Destroyer, remember the new Star Destroyer from the Last Jedi? That new ridiculously large Mega Star Destroyer? It's literally about, basically it's like that. Except like the worst parts of it. Where there's chips sticking out here, and chips sticking out there, another square, and a cube, and a random rectangle, and it's like, just stop. I mean, it looks like the designer of the ship just drew out like the shape of the ship, and then randomly slapped on random rectangles and cubes or something. It's like, hello? Okay, you pay attention to what you're doing, because it looks much better without the random rectangles and cubes and squares stuck on. And miscellaneous tidbits sticking out. It's like, serves no purpose, does it? You could at least make them smooth and sleek like the Oracle ship. Or Primus, or whatever. Primus is a good ship. It's all the ships in the Eve are ridiculously large, though. That's my problem. Like, so ridiculously large. Like, the largest ships, and the larger than the Star Trek. Okay, and there's the 6th type. Well, the 7th type, technically, if you count Eve ships. So the 6th type is the Eve ship style, which is basically, or the Oracle style. I'll just call it the Oracle style, right? Because that's the one that holds off. Well, actually, the Eve ships in total, the 3 factions, their main warships, can form into 3 different types, right? So the Eve ship, the 3 Eve ship types is the 6th, 7th, 8th type, or whatever. But then we have the last type, at least from what I've currently researched, I can't remember. The last type is the Star Trek ship. Because for some reasons they have to keep their nacelles outside of the hull. I'm a little bit confused, but I guess they didn't want to find saucers, so sort of. Anyways, I mean, at least they got the Garden Trell shuttle ships at the very end, right? Voyager and Nova class, or not Nova, whatever that small ship Equinox is. I forget what Nova or something else. I think it's Nova, but is Nova something a different type of ship? Oh. Nova class. Anyways, the Intrepid class is pretty good. The Star Trek style of, saucer, shaft, secondary hull. Technically, in Star Trek lore, it's primary hull because more struts, ridiculously thin struts, by the way, and ridiculously large targets saying, "Shoot me, I'll blow the ship up." Also, the ship won't be able to jump. And it'll also probably blow up. Ship won't be able to move, the ship will get blown up. Sounds like a big giant target bullseye to me. Just shoot the nacelles, guys. Why you bother shooting the hull or the weapons? Just shoot the nacelles. Shoot the nacelles, ship people to go anywhere. Why does nobody shoot the nacelles? Or the bridge? I mean, they shoot the bridge once. Once! That's all it shows. Once! Maybe twice. But still. There's a freaking bridge on any of the ships. Even like the Tantalave class, they have a bridge. The Star Destroyer, like the actual Star Destroyer, is not the Star Destroyer class. Well, actually, Star Destroyer class, all of them have actual bridges. Or at least can. They cannot have also. They can also be designed so they don't have actual bridges, but they do. The real Star Destroyer, like from Star Wars, the original one, those shield balls. So this is just like shoot the giant balls on the end of the giant T-fin. It's attached by this tiny little strut. Just shoot them. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, the shield are down. Woo. Completely misses the Star Wars score. Woo! Pew, 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 pew. Just shoot the damn AT-AT legs! Hashtag crappy design. Really crappy design. All the Star Wars have crappy design. The only ones that don't have that crappy design are the Rebel ships. They're reasonable. Even the TIE Fighters have crappy design. The X-Wings have pretty crappy design, but they're at least better. The Y-Wings definitely have crappy design. Oh yeah, the Y-Wing. That's a Y ship. The Y ship is a Y-Wing, except turn around backwards so that... And also more armor and much bigger. Because the Y-Wing sucks. Like, there's an engine, but it's not even an engine or something. I don't know. It's a pod racing. That's the only thing that was good. The best ship design I can find is pod racing and the new X-Wings. The new X-Wings are pretty good for Force Awakens. But like, Millennium Falcon, not a freighter, a yacht maybe, yeah, not a freighter. It's you store cargo in front. Okay, why do they never do that? Also, wouldn't that like upset the ship's balance? Anyways, enough ranting and raving from me. Ooh. Okay, so, ship types. Yes. Thank you for listening to my display of ship types. Try to come up with something creative and not, do a dumb ship design. Please. Something that will realistically make at least a little bit of sense. And don't use actual bridges. And if you are going to do that, then at least have a different bridge somewhere else that people can go to. I mean, the Star Trek got that one sort of right until we found out that as soon as the saucer separates, the bridge is literally on top again. Which, dude, if you're in Star Trek era, just use cameras. I mean, they use cameras for anything, for everything anyways, right? So they can look backwards, they can pull up pictures of people talking. Why don't you just use a camera for the front screen view? You don't need the bridge to be anywhere near the front, anywhere near the top. Make sure it looks cool, right? So you can see the people, little people inside.
Be in the center of the ship.
Yeah, it really should be. Lucky not center. Center bad because reactors in center of the ship.
Mm-mm.
The reactor should be the reactor radius all T outwards. Also, you don't want the ship. you don't want anything to be next to the reactor, but you still want the reactor to be the center ship.
Why?
If you don't have the reactor in the center ship, then it's easier for it to get blown up, which blows the rest of your ship up.
Mm.
If you have the center ship, then it's hard to get blown up. You also don't want anything near it because it's a reactor and, boom, goes off as a heat.
Mm.
Technically is why you want it outside, near the edge, so you can disperse the heat easier, but
Keeps the ship warm.
technically keeping both of them halfway in the center, right, halfway to the center, would probably be the best idea.
Mm.
And I suppose I do get that bridges look cool, but at least if you're gonna do anything, just don't put your shields, your shield display, your shield, right, or your engines as giant nacelles or giant balls on top of your. I mean, literally, they were dodecahedron balls or whatever, right? On top of your ship. Just don't. It's a giant target that says "shoot me." You don't want a giant target that says "shoot me." Alright, well, check out my next Round of Universe. I'll see some of my ship designs that do unfortunately conform to these standards because it's kind of hard not to. Unless you're Eve. Right. I'm sure there's more ship types that many ships fall into that I haven't mentioned. There's either my lack of research or my lack of memory. Probably both. So please leave your suggestions and comments or whatever you've thought about this in the comments below. Boop. And as always, thanks for watching. Check out my next Round of Universe at DefiniteArt, or making a wiki page for it soon, NEXONIVZ, or you can find it on our Krina Eagle page, krinaeagle.com. And as always, thanks for listening. Check in with your body, check your posture, get up, jump around. Remember to just breathe. Live long and prosper.